on what economic measures the Indian government are taking to try to relieve what's going on with its people, so that you see the US now is issuing a stipend of sort 1,200 to everyone. In many countries, support is going out to small businesses financially. And just a couple of days ago in Barbados, the Prime Minister of Barbados announced the issuing of government bonds, recession bonds, so that companies could buy, people who had the excess liquidity could buy those bonds, and government will then have more money now to reinvest into these social programs and social relief efforts. Can you give us any insight as to what the government of India is doing in economic measures and economic relief? Shruti or Sandeep?
Shruti, please take this one.
Thank you for raising this. So again, this economic packages is also it's an intervention where we have an opportunity to interrogate. What is it that we are asking for? What is it that will be really what will really make a difference to the people who are affected? And so so yes, we need wage subsidies, which has not been announced in India. We have basically, the government has said that, has basically asked for employers to be good employers and appeal to their humanism. But the government has not announced. The government has also not withdrawn commitments to, infrastructural projects, which were anyway looking very extravagant to us, building a new parliament or building, a new prime minister's office or house or whatever, huge expenses there, projects being cleared while this is happening, which are, privileging the, extractives. Yes. So that is all very murky. And in the middle of that, we are asking the government to tell us, how much food, how much money are they putting into food, distribution program. I think, and this is also, to speak to your earlier question about the role of lawyers. I think that, so first of all, as lawyers, one, that in this entire scenario, one big casualty has been in the area of access to justice. The Supreme Court has practically shut itself down. And, and they're taking only urgent matters, and those urgent matters we have seen are very, there is a very strange way of prioritizing cases. So the cases that are about, which are about the most urgent issues are not really being prioritized. So under the lockdown, the withdrawal of the judiciary, even though we have, technology, we have capacities in the system to do it, but for some reason the courts have withdrawn. As lawyers, as lawyers, I think there are huge opportunities, and this is, this is about the work that I've been trying to build. About, first of all, as lawyers, are we going to be stuck with this triad of, court, judge, and law, lawyer, judge, and court? The law, court, and whatever, lawyer, court, and law. Are we, as lawyers, are we really being our fullest? Are we able to be, are we really being most effective? If we are, unless we go out of this comfort zone and, move to the, move outside the boundaries. So we have quarantined ourselves for decades, right? We have self-isolated ourselves in our, whatever our professional, pride or whatever we call it. But we have made ourselves believe that our workspace is the courtroom or the law, space of law. But I think that this is a time for lawyers to become, more collaborative again, to engage with other stakeholders, to learn, just to learn and just to keep our eyes and ears open. I think that's one. The second part that I really think is important is that as lawyers, we are, are we asking for these very, humanistic, reformist management, kind of approaches? Like compensatory, redistribution kind of approaches, or are we asking for deeper systemic and structural change that is surfacing, the need for which is surfacing through this huge emergency? So are we just going to tinker at the surface by asking for welfareism at this moment? Of course we want, Of course, we want urgent, relief to be.
Yeah, but we also, it's both.
That all we are.
I was going to get into that. Because India is a corporate hub. A lot of the multinational corporations are based there, and a lot of multinational corporations depend on India for various resources, from human resources to mineral resources. I'm wondering, and we've been speaking to the public sector, what regulation of the private sector is there to wield the revenue they produce, the profits they produce in favor of the population that they depend on and the country that they depend on to make those profits. Is there any of that happening?
No, I think contrary. I think it is, the big corporations which had gone into, had already been in the red because of their mismanagement or because of their dishonesties or malpractices, are now being bailed out under the emergency powers, And so again, the government is misusing this opportunity to privilege them. Even though, there has to be accountability by them. So we know that, by now we know, so between this hyper local, between being stuck with this absolutely hyper local, that right now I'm stuck in my home. So I am so hyper localized. At the same time, we have never been so global. So this whole, the fact that we are in this dichotomy of hyper local and global is telling us something. I think that today we are united by the crisis of. It's clear. I remember a student asking me, "Are you a leftist?" Almost like accusing. But we know that there is, whatever that alternative is, and this is again, I was reading Roberto Unger's work, where he talks about this dictatorship of no alternatives. So where he says that we have kind of grown, we have kind of resigned ourselves to just, this or that, either so if you don't have capitalism, you have to have socialism. And we know how people in certain parts of the world kind of panic if you say capitalism has to go, they just think that, oh God, you are a communist, and so this labeling of the extreme. So he talks about how this dictatorship of no alternatives has to be challenged, and he talks about how there are the illusions of false necessities, where he says that we have. So he talks about, deeper transformation so he talks about how there has to be an imagination beyond these labels.